Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mornings with Mo and Fry. And yes, I will be streaming the Boy in the Box trial if all goes to plan. And I plan to do a little bit after nightly news with Mo and Fry. As you can see, we have exhausted our 5 to 6 a.m. Zoomies. I will be getting a lighted vest so I can walk around in the morning, hopefully with no deer attack. This time, since Fry is with me. We are gonna start walking around in the morning again. Mo is terrified. I will have glow sticks. I will be lit up like the 4th of July. You have no idea. This is going to be amazing. Yes, I have decided that Mo and I or not Mo and I, that Fry and I will be doing, morning walks to deal with his Zoomies because, he likes to have Zoomies around 5 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing. It's a beautiful time in the dark, which is where I usually when I used to walk, I would walk at 5 a.m. in the morning, get my walk done. So, Fry is doing his very best to motivate me to do what I used to do. So, I did not expect him to be a motivational tool as such. I will wait for some more people to trickle in just a little bit. But this is a general reminder. I know I touched on this last night, but good morning, Eris. And remember to switch from top chat to live chat because I always forget that. So I'm reminding you guys. Eris usually reminds me, or Rain, or people that are on top of things usually do. But I'm trying to be on top of things this morning because I am fully caffeinated and awake. It is a banner day in the Mo household. Um, but just a reminder, remember, turn off your phones if you are anywhere near them around 2:20 Eastern Time, 11:20 Pacific Time, and whatever time that you are in other than those 2 time periods, because for 30 minutes, the federal government will be screwing with your phone to, test test their national wireless emergency alert system. So for 30 minutes, they are going to be just blasting your cell phone. Now I can understand 5 minutes, I can understand 10 minutes. Good morning, Christine. But for 30 minutes, they will be, in theory, testing cellular devices. So I'm sure the high schools will appreciate this immensely. I'm sure all schools will immensely appreciate this. I can so just a gentle reminder, the purge is not happening. I don't think they found aliens. And, if you want to go tinfoily on it, I'm sure that you can go to the dark corners of the internet to see what the government is really doing. I don't have any thoughts on that. I just think that they want to annoy people for 20 minutes to 30 minutes because why not? It's a Wednesday. People need to be awake. Our first real story, ex-Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries accused of running, quote, "well-oiled machine" where he paid recruiters $1,000 to lure young men to events for smexy time. Now I remember vaguely, I never shopped at Abercrombie and Fitch. Now, I was I have always generally been on the fluffy side, colloquially, and Abercrombie and Fitch, even in my, high school days, tended to cater to the more skinny population in high school. So, also, I wasn't going to pay $60 for a pair of jeans that I could, you know, generally not fit into. I've always been an Old Navy gal when I could wear jeans, and Old Navy has served me well. So, when I could wear jeans, I was an Old Navy gal, kind of I stick to Old Navy. Ex-Abercrombie& and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries is facing allegations of sexual exploitation after 8 men claimed in a bombshell BBC News investigation that he headed an elaborate scheme to recruit them for smexy events. Over the course of a two-year probe, the BBC spoke to 8 men who alleged that they were exploited or abused after being lured to events at Jeffrey's upscale New York residence or luxury hotels in the world's fashion capitals. The BBC described an exploitative regime as a well-oiled machine where recruiters allegedly were tasked with bringing young men to Jeffrey's events in London, Paris, Venice, and Marrakesh and would receive as much as $1,000 per referral. A personal groomer then allegedly shaved the body hair off of some men before they attended events, according to the BBC. The men were required then to sign non-disclosure agreements that said they would be sued if they spoke out. They were not allowed to keep a copy of the legal document. The young men alleged they were recruited to the sex events by a middleman who reported to Jeffries and his British lover, Matthew Smith, with half claiming that they were misled about the nature of these events. Other alleged victims knew the events were sexual but were unsure what was expected of them, although they were paid to attend and hoped by doing so they would land modeling opportunities with Abercrombie and Fitch, according to BBC. I mean, this is just gross on its face, and notice that it's not getting the attention that Russell Brand's allegedness is getting. Good morning, Carlene. This story is icky. Again, and it's not getting I mean, this has actual evidence. This has actual and again, I mean, I hate to bring up this card, but it's crimes against young men. So it's also not getting, a lot of attention. Hey, Sal. Uh, the middleman, whom BBC identified as Jim Jacobson, was described by model agencies as the gatekeeper to the owners of Abercrombie and Fitch during the teen retailer's heyday in the late 90s, early 2000s. The alleged abuse took place between 1992 and 2014, when Jeffries abruptly resigned after 22 years at the helm following consistent sale decline and controversy, which Jeffries seemingly invited when he openly favored what he called cool, good-looking people at Abercrombie and Fitch while shunning fat people. Again, this is why I never shop there. But also, I had to take, you know, having had 3 girls first, I mean, I have been into the store as an adult. There's, like, 5 pairs of jeans there, it is loud, it is dark, it is all the places I never want to be. And it goes double as an adult, but it was there as a teen. Jeffries reportedly walked away from the company, which has since ditched the shirtless male models who greeted customers outside stores with at least $27 million in cash and retirement benefits. David Bradbury was one of Jeffrey and Smith's alleged victims who claims he was introduced to the Abercrombie and Fitch boss by Jacobson back in 2010 when he was 23, according to the BBC. Bradbury told the outlet that when he met Jacobson, he suggested Abercrombie and Fitch official photographer Bruce Weber take his photo. Jacobson would often have Weber take photos of the young men he would introduce to Jeffries, according to the BBC, then would have the men take a test run in quotation mark. Representative for Weber did not immediately respond to the Post request for comment. Quote, Jim made it clear to me that unless I let him perform a mouth hug on me, I would not be meeting with Abercrombie and Fitch or Michael Jeffries, Bradbury told BBC. I was paralyzed. It was like he was selling me fame, and the price was compliance, he said, noting that Jacobson led him to believe that this was where everyone got their start. Bradbury was given $50 or $500 for his time that day, according to the BBC. So again, this is, you know, had this happened to a bunch of women, I think that this would be getting much more headlines, unfortunately. And I really feel like that's something in our culture that needs to change. Now in his 30s, Bradbury said he should have considered the meeting a red flag, but thought that Jacobson was just a creepy old dude that wouldn't have to see again. However, Bradbury had another run-in with Jacobson after accepting an invitation to a daytime event at Jeffrey's former Hampton home, which recently sold for 29 million dollars. So the so-called milkman gave him an Abercrombie gift card to buy an outfit. Bradbury told the BBC the event felt like a legitimate it that made the event feel legitimate and official, and he felt Jeffries was a powerful man who could make his career. After speaking with Jeffries and Smith at their mansion about his aspirations to be an Abercrombie and Finch model, Jeffries took drug inhalants known as poppers and later had smexy times with Bradbury, according to the BBC. Bradbury alleged that he, quote, "didn't feel safe to say no or didn't feel comfortable this because the home was a secluded location and the presence of Jeffrey's staff, who all dressed in uniform head to toe, Abercrombie and Fitch, and would hand alleged victims envelopes with thousands of dollars of cash before they left," per the BBC. Barrett Paul told the BBC he was recruited into Jeffries and Smith's orbit in 2011 when he was 22 and was told by the recruiter that he would be a replacement for some sort of sexual experiment or experience with the couple. He said he felt he had no choice because the recruiter, an older Abercrombie and Fitch model, had been helping him financially and he felt indebted to him, Paul told the BBC. The recruiter suggested that the further you go, the better, Paul told the outlet, alluded to opportunities. The Post sought comments from Jeffries, 79, and Smith, 60. A spokesperson for Abercrombie and Fitch told the Post, quote, "We are appalled and disgusted by the behavior described in the allegations against Mr. Jeffries, whose employment with Abercrombie and Fitch Company ended in 2014, nearly 10 years ago. Speaking up and coming forward is not easy, our thoughts are with those who bravely raise their voices." The spokesperson said the company has also, quote, "engaged with outside law firm to conduct an independent investigation into the issues raised. The company's current executive leadership and board of directors are not aware of the were not aware of the allegations of sexual misconduct by Mr. Jeffries." Oh, bite me, y'all. Like, this dude had a legitimate, almost Mr. Man Who Didn't Unalive Himself recruiting system for these gentlemen. I I doubt that no one was aware. We have a zero tolerance for abuse, harassment, or discrimination of any kind. Two former US prosecutors who reviewed the BBC investigation have called for an investigation to determine whether sex trafficking charges should be brought, according to the news site. Under US law, sex trafficking involves getting an adult to travel to another state or country to have smexy time for money or using force, fraud, or collusion. So, or coercion, not collusion. So, I hope that this man, if he did all of this stuff and promised all these guys, modeling and all of this, and they got their six-pack abs and they were so excited to finally get into the modeling career, and then they had to do all these things that they were deeply uncomfortable with. It cuts both ways. If we would be outraged or, virtue signal outraged if this happened to a bunch of women, then we should be just as outraged that this happened to a bunch of dudes. And yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the selective outrage needs to stop. If we're going to pretend to be really outraged about women, then I want the same outrage about these guys having to do this. I don't see it happening, but the guy's a creep and a jerk, and kind of hope that they throw the book at him just like they did to everyone else. I mean, what's Harvey Weinstein is in jail, right? I think. Or maybe he's in the Sun. I don't know. In other news, apparently, Monica Lewinsky is a big old bully. Did we know this? This is from Cosmo. So let's see how Monica Lewinsky is just a big old bully. Because for years, she has been an anti bullying advocate. The longtime anti bullying advocate was stunned to realize she would never talk to someone else the way she speaks to herself. Here, she tells Cosmopolitan about her new campaign about against vicious self talk. And she's worried about AI and deep fakes and why we can't seem to stop publicly shaming women. Uh, I'm kind of okay with bringing back shame. I mean, we just had that, YouTuber claim that we need wider hallways for fluffy people. Look, I'm just saying maybe just a tiny bit of shame is okay. Like, look, sometimes you motivate yourself. Like, hey, you're not looking as great as you used to do. Maybe you could start walking in the morning. I don't know. Monica Lewinsky can be mean, not to the president. Get her blue dress back on, she'll be fine. No, I'm just kidding. Well, at least to herself. You probably are too. That's why the subject of her latest campaign against harassment and shaming is self-bullying, or that familiar phenomenon when your inner monologue in your head turns vicious. Hey, that's like 99% of my inner monologue. What are you talking about? With her latest PSA launching today, Monica is taking aim at what she calls, quote, the harshest bully that many of us know ourselves. Oh, for the love of all that is holy. The message, life is hard enough without constantly brutalizing yourself. Has she known any former Catholics? Like, what the heck? Few know as well as Monica, who became patient zero for bullying and harassment in the early days of the internet. Okay, possibly don't have an affair with the, currently married president, like some weird person. You okay, it's Board of Truth time. It's Board of Truth time because ma'am, oh, for the love of all that is holy, done made yourself a victim. Okay. Let's explorate this. Where did I put my erasable markers? Oh, they're right in front of my face because I was prepared. I'm shocked. I shocked myself by being prepared. Okay, so here's little Monica with her little beret. Do we remember the beret? And she had the little flippy hair. I was a little younger. My mom didn't even let me read the Ken Starr report because, she's like, oh, it's so tawdry. Okay, but here's her little beret. Here's Monica. See, and here we'll put wedding rings to represent well, those look like boobies actually. So let's not do that. But we'll put a wedding ring and then, the famous cigar, which also looks somewhat like a. All right. So, ma'am, you done went after a married man, caused an impeachment over a cigar, and then here's your lovely little, you know, dress to make a something resembling a dress, as you cannot draw apparently. Your famous little blue dress. Thank you so much, Jess. So, madam, now you were not bullied because the world is an evil, terrible, misogynist place. You done went after a married man. Now, he is married to possibly the lead Skeksis of the world, or that trash muppet from The Dark Crystal, Helga or Hagathor. She only has one eye and she's got the boobs that just flap around. Anywho, that's Hillary. But you done had not sexual relationships with a cigar and performed a mouth hug allegedly. But you done did that, and you have to kinda take your lumps. I know the internet happened, but you were gonna be the butt of jokes forever, okay? It happens. Look, it happened to Marilyn Monroe. We all kinda knew she was doing all of the Kennedys in ascending/descending order, or possibly in all orders. We don't know. She's not alive to tell us, allegedly. But you did all this. It was not that the internet came around and just, like, attacked you. No. No, you went after a married man, and then he had to go and discuss if was a word and whether, sexual relations happened. And as a 12-year-old, I couldn't read this Ken Starr report because it was too tawdry. But no, you were not, like, unfortunately maligned in the internet. You went after a married man and did not or did have sexual relationships with a Cuban cigar. Okay. So let's get back to the story. Few know this as well as Monica, who became patient zero for bullying and harassment in the early days of the internet after details of her relationship with former President Bill Clinton became tabloid news. For the love of God. Monica tells Cosmopolitan that at the time she had lower self esteem. Well, you did wear a beret, and you're not French. And the military did try to push the beret on our fighting men, who were also not French. I can only imagine there's a correlation there. And it was hard not to internalize the vile, misogynist pile-on. No, no, you did something terrible, kind of stupid, and you kinda got told. Pile-on she was subjected to when she was only in her 20s. Self-bullying is still bullying, and if you wouldn't say it to someone else, don't say it to yourself. But she spent the last 25 years learning to be nicer to herself. In the past decade, she's become perhaps the highest profile advocate against bullying, physical, emotional, online, and otherwise. And now, with this new Stand Up to Yourself campaign, she's inviting people to think about the way they talk to themselves in their own mind. Yeah, again, you pick the most high profile person to quote unquote screw around with, and then you're shocked that people again make you the butt of jokes. I mean, had you slept with Harry down at the hardware store who was married, you might have been the town harlot, but you wouldn't have gotten blowback on the level. It's not now, I know Pepperidge Farm remembers, but do you guys remember when, you know, it was the early '90s and you were a latchkey kid and you got made fun of, but you just shook it off and you went home and you microwaved yourself some pizza rolls and you watched the Power Rangers and you survived and you didn't need to create yourself your own cottage industry of anti-bullying and harassment campaigns? Well, there you go. There you go. So, there you go. Monica Lewinsky wants you to stop being mean to yourself. I mean, she has aged well, so there you go. Um, I keep hoping that Elon will start that colony on Mars or even the moon. I'm working on it. I hope he's working on it fairly quickly because I don't think they're gonna let him stay around here much longer. Uh, so there you go. Monica Lewinsky wants you to stop bullying yourself. Whether you slept with a president or, ate that last nutty buddy, it's not your fault. Oh, God. All right. Just a reminder that free speech is awesome here and not everywhere else. Swiss LGBT group praises jail sentence for commentator who called a journalist, quote, a fat lesbian. Writer and commentary Alan Sorolso. Look, I know there's probably a way to say this that involves not moving your mouth because I have been told that, there are ways to say these things. She has, but I believe it's because she has a soul. Allegedly, Hillary had one. It's in a bottle somewhere. I don't know. Allegedly. Lashed out at journalist Catherine Macharel in a Facebook video 2 years ago, calling her a fat lesbian who was unhinged. These are his words, Facebook, not mine. I do have freedom of speech, though, so I am just repeating his words. Don't come after me, Geneva. Geneva LGBT group hailed a 60-day jail sentence in a court in Switzerland gave to a writer in commentary for deriding a journalist as a, quote, "fat lesbian." Y'all keep putting these words in, and I'm just reading it. I put my hands up. I am simply reading the news. The Lausanne court sentenced French-Swiss, polemist Alan Bonnet, who goes by Alan Sorrell, for the crimes of defamation, discrimination, incitement to hatred on Monday. He was ordered to pay legal fees and fines totaling thousands of Swiss francs, dollars, in addition to time behind bars. So y'all just remember, be thankful for the alleged freedom of speech that we have here, because uh, England just passed the Internet Safety Act, which basically shredded their even opinion or appearance of having free speech. And the EU has a token idea of free speech, but they are able to now do this, jail someone for basically calling someone else something. So again, if we pass all of these sort of laws that underride and disagree with the freedom of speech, well, you're right. You are right. But I don't wanna insult Rosie O'Donnell if anyone likes her. Sorrell lashed out at Catherine Marchal, a journalist for a Swiss newspaper, Tribune de Genève, and 24 Hours in a Facebook video 2 years ago. He called her what he called her and said, Marchal's work as an activist meant she was unhinged, according to Swiss public broadcaster RTS. Quote, "This court decision is an important moment for justice and the right of LGBTQI people in Switzerland." Muriel Wager, co-director of a lesbian activist group LOS, said in a statement, "The conviction of Alan Sorrell is a strong signal that hatred cannot be tolerated in our society." Well, in an email to Tuesday to the Associated Press, Pascal Janad, a lawyer for Sorrell, mockingly blasted the conviction for, quote, "crime of opinion," and said the case aimed to probe whether a person had, quote, "sinned against the dogma of a single thought." Sorrell had appealed to the Swiss Federal Court and said, if necessary, to the European Court of Human Rights, the lawyer wrote. Wager said the verdict represented a milestone in the application of the measure approved by Swiss voters in 2020, which made it illegal to discriminate against people on the basis of orientation. So there you go. It's Poopageddon. Pigeons are invading. Pigeons have invaded and our town is being taken over. It's a rather foul situation. A town south of London is facing a bombardment of pigeon poop brought on by a growing influx of the winged interlopers that officials just don't have an answer for. Quote, "You walk around and they are cooing above you. All the babies are squawking and they could poop on you," Ashford business owner Vince Monticelli told Southwest News Service. Quote, "Our town is being taken over by seagulls and pigeons." The Ashford Borough Council has been gliding around the issue after walking past April's plans to get a hawk that would ward off unwanted new residents in the Kent Nabe. Quote, "We've researched carefully and following consultation with relevant stakeholders and local businesses, we believe that at this time there's insufficient need for a hawk service to be introduced into the town center," the government spokesperson said. "The situation is under review and could include a 4-month trial with a predatory bird, though the idea has been reportedly dropped for now." So, uh, or it's a market opportunity. You could film a Birds sequel. I'm just saying. Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds 2. It's a thought, you guys. I say make it a market opportunity. Have a woman in a lovely suit getting attacked by birds. It's nearly Halloween. Make a horror movie. You guys are just not seeing this as the market opportunity it really is. Initially, the locale felt that the hawk being walked around by a professional. Yeah, well, you could do that, but why would you do that? Initially, the locale also felt that a hawk being walked around by a professional caretaker would make for an especially appealing attraction. Monticelli also stood firm. I think there are an issue. They are an issue, and the council probably should have got the hawk. Other locals like Russell Green doubled down on the problem the pigeon are causing too. I don't see why they couldn't get a hawk for a couple days a month, he said. Once the pigeons and seagulls know there's a hawk here, they won't be coming back. Another man who works in the town, Connor Moon, suggested the winged visitors, quote, don't do us any harm, and blamed the poopalooza on bird brains who feed the avians, inadvertently inviting them to come back with friends. So, really, the evil person here is that woman in frickin' Mary Poppins who feeds the birds. She was the evil one all along. We should have known it. Mary Poppins setting us all up for failure. I knew it. Just knew it. In the world's worst mother ever, and I do mean ever, because this has to be the worst story I've ever read. Mom locked up in Oklahoma after admitting she let a man grape and impregnate her 12-year-old daughter. Also, eyebrows. What in the actual hell? I mean, both judgments just flippin' awful. And this woman is not a mother. She was a life holder for a little bit. A mother allowed a man to grape and impregnate her 12-year-old daughter and is behind bars in Oklahoma after pleading guilty to her role in the shocking offense. Oklahoma court records show that Desiree Castaneda pleaded guilty on September 20th for enabling child sex abuse and for child neglect. While offenses are felonies and punishable by up to life in prison, Castaneda received 15 years, and records indicate that she must serve at least 85% of her sentence before she's eligible for parole. Why didn't she get life? She has ruined her daughter's life. I don't get this. Yes, that there is I do think so because they introduce, like, lizards to get the birds, and then the lizards need a snake, and then the snake needs the birds. I I remember there being a circle round of, uh, problems that don't get solved by making the problem worse. Um, but I don't understand why she didn't get life. She ruined her daughter's life. She has ruined her grandchild's life. This is disgusting on its core, and I don't understand why she's allowed to skate with this. I mean, I get she got 15 years, but she's gonna serve what, 85% of that, which is a math. Let me do a math. I'm not doing a math in my head. That's why God invented calculators. I don't know. So she's gonna do approximately 13 years before she's even eligible for parole. Oklahoma corrections state she was incarcerated in the Tulsa County or in Tulsa County on September 21st, one day before she turned 36. As Law and Crime previously reported, Juan Lorenzo Mariana Juara was sentenced to 2 decades in prison back in March 2022 after pleading guilty to the first-degree assault of a victim under the age of 14. Tulsa cops said they learned about the case only after the 12-year-old victim showed up at the hospital to give birth to the then 24-year-old suspect's child. The investigation revealed that the victim's mother and family members were aware of the relationship between the victim and Miranda Jara, the police previously said, noting that there was even a photo of Miranda Jara and the victim at a baby shower hosted by the family. The family permitted the relationship, and there are photos of the family throwing a baby shower for the victim and suspect. What is wrong with these people? Maybe. But look, if I was a judge, which is why I'm not allowed to be a judge, it would be Snake Island for both of these people. That's why I'm not a judge. Uh, KOKI reported that Miranda Jara was in a relationship with Castaneda before she let him live with her daughter as a couple and then enabled him to impregnate her daughter. At the hospital, Miranda Jara proudly admitted he was the biological father of the newborn, even though the age of consent in Oklahoma is 16. Quote, they walked in just like any other couple would, excited to deliver their newborn child. Officer Danny Bean told local Fox affiliated KOKI at the time. Quote, according to this version of events, Miranda Jara proudly said he was the father of the baby the 12-year-old was about to deliver. Cops suggest that he thought he was going to go home that day and acted as if what he did was legal. Like Castaneda, Miranda Jara, now 26, will also serve at least 85% of his sentence before he's eligible for parole. He remains behind bars at the McAlford Correctional Center. The Tulsa County District Attorney reportedly reacted to Castaneda's sentence by calling the whole case incredibly sad. Quote, children should be able to rely on their parents for protection from people like Juan Miranda Jara. For Desiree Castaneda, to allow this to happen to her daughter is appalling, the office said. According to KOKI, quote, both defendants in this case are facing the consequences of their action and will spend time in the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. Our hope is the victim in this case will be able to put this awful chapter behind her. I hope in the bottom of my heart that this child and this grandchild, these two babies are getting support, help, therapy, all the things they need to get everything they need to heal. I can't imagine. I have a daughter that's getting ready to turn 13, and I can't even wrap my head around this. This is beyond disgusting. I can't with this woman. Again, Snake Island. I have no chill with this. In a happy, weird ending story, low-flying helicopters put Australian farms crocodiles in the mood. So my tweet might be a little facetious when I said horny gators. They're actually horny crocodiles. The owner of a crocodile farm in Australia said mating season started early this year thanks to the males being put in an amorous mood by the presence of military helicopters. John Lever, who established the Kukarana Crocodile Farm in Rockhampton, Queensland in 1981, said the bulls are among his stable of about 3,000 crocodiles and were sent into a mating frenzy when a Chinook helicopter came in low over the farm. Lever said helicopters are frequently seen over the area as the Singapore Armed Forces hold bilateral military training operations at the Shoalwater Bay training area, and the pilots use the croc farm as a marker point. He said one helicopter came in low to get a good look at the animals, and the result was a flurry of reptile romance. Quote, all of the big males got up and roared and bellowed at the sky. Then the helicopters left and they mated like mad. Lever told the Australian Broadcasting Corp, quote, there's something about the sonic wave that really gets them stirred up. Cameron Baker, a Charles Darwin University researcher who specializes in crocodiles, said the animals might have mistaken the sound of the chopper for the calls of a competing male. Quote, "It might be producing a very low frequency thump thump as it hits the water," Baker said, "that might just coincidentally be similar to some of the sounds big crocodiles produce to say, 'Hey, this is my turf.' We're still not sure how they use sound and what it communicates." Craig Franklin, a professor of zoology at the University of Queensland, suggested that the helicopter's low altitude may have caused the crocs to detect a change in the barometric pressure similar to a thunderstorm, which often signals the start of their mating season. But alternately, it could be the low frequency noise created by helicopters, Franklin said. Quote, "We don't know what happens in farms, but our research shows that in the field they respond to rainfall events, so of course, they're often associated with change in barometric pressure." So there you have it, you guys. Um, Keep your phones away from crocodile farms because we don't want to, incite another mating fest just in case the signals that the warning signs, set off another mating flurry and we have a bunch of crocklets out 9 months from now or however long it takes to make little baby crocs. I don't know. I am only an expert in little baby people, not little baby crocklets, so I don't know. But there you have it. That is our news. We have warnings, we have amorous crocs, we have the worst mother in humanity, pooping pigeons, journalists locked up. Monica Lewinsky doesn't want you to be mean to yourself, and the former head of Abercrombie& and Fitch might just be a pervert. Those are the stories for you. I hope that you had a good time this morning. I will see you back in just a little bit to start the family testimony in the Take Care of Maya case, which is day 2. We will be doing the bigger interviews, the bigger testimonies. I will be giving you summaries of, the other kind of testimony, and we will be getting through the case that way. I do know that there was talk of possibly a mistrial, so we will be trying to do it the Take Care of Maya case that way. So I will be doing summaries, watching and doing summaries, and then trying to do the more uh, interesting or viewing the more interesting testimonies instead of watching the entire thing. In the afternoon, we will be doing the afternoon session of the Boy in the Box Florida case. I think it's turning out to be quite an interesting case, Christine. I'm not truly liking the defense. I understand the defense's argument. Do I like it? Not particularly. I do like that the defense is vigorous. I think everyone deserves a good defense, but I'm not liking the tone of it, if that makes sense. It's definitely trying to make the child into the criminal and the parents into the victims, and you put your kid into a box. I It's a bit of uh a conundrum here as to how I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. So those are the stories. Don't forget about 2:20 Eastern Time for the phone apocalypse warningness. And I will see you in a bit for Take Care of Maya. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Check out Baker. I think he's still on Verdict Watch. And everyone else, please like and subscribe. And I will see you in a bit. Have a great day. We will be doing the roundup on the weekend, and then if the wife goes to trial soon, we will do that. I did leave you a message on Discord, and then I will ask Jung to put up a Boy in the Box thread so that we can have that there to communicate. I will talk to you all later and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday if I don't see you anywhere else. Bye, guys.